Hi there folks. In this video we're going to have a look at a headlight restoration system sold by Simoniz, and this is for kind of repairing your older headlights, the plastic ones which get kind of weathered and yellow with age. And I've got a car with a couple of fairly severely oxidized and weathered headlights, so I figured I'd give this a try rather than going into a shop to get it done. This was a little bit more than $12 at one of the hardware stores, and we're going to see what's inside it, and then we're going to go through and actually use it. So see on the top here it says Headlight Restoration System, and it gives you a little overview of what's in it. We have an applicator, sanding discs, buffing pad, polish, and a microfiber cloth. Packaged in Canada with imported materials, so for the Canadian market it has French as well as English. So let's have a look inside. Got a microfiber cleaning cloth. We have a container of polish restorer, a plastic bag with a hook and loop applicator. This is like a foam material. We've got the hook side here of the sort of Velcro type stuff, and inside we've got some pads. Got a 2000 Grit, a 3000, and a 4000, and these are hook and loop. You can just stick those on the applicator like that. And then we've got a applicator pad for, I believe, the polish. Anyway, let's go have a look at the headlights. I'll show you what I'm dealing with. So here's one of the headlights in question. You can see it is quite yellowed and cloudy, mostly from road dirt and salt and sand and stuff. There's actually one section up here which has been protected by the bug deflector, and it's actually in pretty good shape up there. It's mostly just from the impact of, I think, mostly the sand and the salt in the wintertime kind of does this to it. Anyway, we're gonna do one up, and then we will look at it compared to the other one. They're both basically in the same condition. They're both quite yellowed. So as per the directions, the first step is to sand with the 2000 grit paper, and this is wet or dry sandpaper, so we're going to wet the sandpaper, and we're also going to keep the headlight itself wet as well. As I mentioned before, this is the hook and loop type stuff, so you can just stick it right on there. And I got a bucket of water. We'll just wet everything down pretty good to start with, and begin sanding. Apparently you're supposed to overlap about 50% and make fairly straight passes at this. You get the idea. We'll do the 2000 grit, and we'll come back and dry it off and see what it looks like. So here's what it looks like after a few minutes work with the 2000 grit paper and drying it off with the microfiber cloth. It actually does look a little better already, so we're going to switch out now to the 3000 grit. Get that dumped in the water. And hook it onto the applicator. Once again, get everything good and wet. And we'll repeat with this stuff. And here we are after a few minutes with the 3000 grit paper. Next up, we'll move over to this 4000 grit. And here's what the headlight looks like after the 4000 grit sandpaper. A few minutes back and forth, up and down in a pattern designed to kind of erase the previous lines. So next up, we've got the foam applicator pad, and this has also got the Velcro on it as well. Just put that on, and we've got our polish. I don't know if that can be shook up or not. Anyway, the instructions say to put a small amount on the pad in an X pattern. Well, that's probably more than a small amount. We'll spread that around a bit. And to polish back and forth. So here's what we've got after a few minutes of applying the lens polish. And the final step is to take the microfiber cloth and buff it out. And there's the finished product. Not perfect. I have some little scratches and, you know, dings and nicks in it, but I'm not about to spend the time required to completely polish that out. This is just a daily driver car, so functionality is really the important thing. I'm fairly happy with that. I think I'll get my wife's opinion on what she thinks it looks like. So if you were to compare the one that wasn't done with the one that is done, would you say that's quite a improvement?
I would say that is a marked improvement for sure.
Yeah. For $12, that's probably not a bad deal. Except now I got to do the second one.
Because now,
yeah,
the second one looks even worse.
That's right, it does. Yeah. Of course, the primary objective here is to get it to pass the safety inspection. Because last year the guy said, I probably shouldn't pass it with your headlights that cloudy. So it looks not too bad. I mean, it's certainly not perfect. There's still little marks in it, like there from stones and stuff on it, but
it doesn't look brand new by any stretch,
no,
but
it's still a lot better than it was. Better. So I'd say pronounce that a success. So here's the one that hasn't been done with the headlights turned on, and here's the other one that I just finished doing. So a pretty noticeable improvement.